Welcome back. We're following breaking news this morning. An active shooter has placed Fort Stewart, Georgia on lockdown. Here's what we know right now. The lockdown is in the 2nd Armor Brigade combat team area. All gates on Fort Stewart remain closed. Schools in the area were also on lockdown with the directive from the commander. Law enforcement is on scene right now with reports of casualties. We can confirm that 5 soldiers were indeed shot. The shooter has been arrested, and there is no active threat to the community. But parts of the Army base remain on lockdown, particularly those directly connected to that shooting. Fort Stewart is the largest Army base east of the Mississippi River, known for being the home of the 3rd Infantry Division and other units. The base plays a critical role in training and military power projection. We will continue to follow this story and bring you more information as it becomes available.
Thank you for watching.
Good morning, Owasso. This is Chad with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. Well, as you just saw from there yesterday, there was an active shooter at Fort Stewart in Georgia the other day, and it was a member of the U.S. military. It was a U.S. Army sergeant. His name is Cornelius Radford, and yeah, he don't really know his motivations yet. I haven't seen anything come out about it yet. I'm sure
Trump was right.
I'm sure it will as time goes on, that we'll figure out what exactly was going on with this guy. But for right now, I have what little information that we do have pulled up right here from Newsmax. Fort Stewart shooting suspect Sergeant Cornelius Radford's mugshot revealed. Mugshot of Fort Stewart shooting suspect Sergeant Cornelius Radford has been revealed. The 28-year-old active duty Army sergeant is accused of opening fire at a unit area of the 2nd Armored Brigade combat team in Georgia on Wednesday, injuring 5 soldiers. Fellow military members were quick to intervene and subdue the suspect, who was quickly taken into custody without further incident at 11:35 a.m. Radford's mugshot stems from a previous arrest from in May for a DUI. What is known, the suspect is 28-year-old Cornelius Radford, an active duty Army sergeant. The shooting occurred around 11 a.m. in the brigade area on the base. 5 soldiers were wounded and later transported off base to medical facilities. Radford, from Jacksonville, Florida, joined the Army in 2018 and has never been deployed. The FBI and ATF and Army CID are assisting with the investigation. The motive remains unclear and under review. And this is the big question of the day, is why would he do this? And you have to remember, there's really 3 types of people that join the military or join the Army or join any branch for that matter. You've got people who've wanted to serve their whole life, like whether it's a family tradition or they just think joining the military is cool. There's the people who are just trying to get free college, trying to get into college. Excuse me. And then, of course, you have the people who don't have any other options, or they're trying to avoid jail. Like, there is a lot of people that you'll meet in basic training that were like, well, it was either this or go to jail or get on probation. It was either this or get on probation or whatever. And that is an unfortunate reality. Now, sometimes that the military does straighten people like that out, but other times you're literally sitting there with the sociopath as your barracks buddy, and that's basically what happens. And 2, sometimes just bad stuff happens. Now, this guy was never deployed, so it clearly wasn't any like PTSD from any trauma that he received overseas. But, maybe he's going through a divorce. Maybe he's going through a rough patch with his girlfriend. There's a million different reasons why people could easily do something like this. But we'll find out. I'm sure more information will be released later on. But as of right now, that's all we've got. Oh, but this is interesting. Suspect Sergeant Cornelius Brown Radford was a registered Democrat voter. How interesting. The Florida shooting suspect was a registered Democrat voter in Florida, according to records found by Newsweek. Military officials investigate how the suspect got at his personal handgun on base. I mean, they do random searches sometimes on vehicles, but not all the time. So who knows? I mean, it's they don't always. Sometimes they just check your ID at the gate and send you in. Other times they'll do an inspection of your vehicle if they're worried about you. And two, it's not like they could keep him off base. He's serves there, so he goes on and off base, probably there pretty regularly. Officials say that the handgun was used in a shooting weapon, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we get all that. When is Cornelius Raver back in court for a DUI case? Cornelius was arrested on May 18th on suspicion of driving under the influence. The military officials said that he had been unaware of the charge. Radford was scheduled to appear in court on August 20th in Hinesville, Georgia, to face the charges stemming from the May incident, which was cited for driving under the influence and running a red light shortly after 1 a.m., according to files in a police citation. He underwent blood tests and was released on a $1,818 bond, the documents state. Attorney Sunil Patel, who was representing Radford in the traffic case, confirmed via email the Associated Press that he was not representing him in connection with the Fort Stewart shooting. Patel declined to discuss any other details of the conversation, citing attorney-client privilege. Okay, who is Army Logistics Sergeant was identified as the shooting suspect after 5 soldiers were wounded at Fort Stewart, Georgia on Wednesday, prompting a short lockdown on the country's largest Army base. The officials told all 5 soldiers that were injured are in stable condition and expected to survive their wounds. 3 of the soldiers will require surgery. And more, okay. But here's another thing, too, is like, despite what people may think or believe, not many people on a military base are allowed to carry weapons. Only MPs and the gate guards, or really, the security details around the gates, are allowed to have weapons. And have weapons with ammunition, like I said. You're allowed to have your weapon when you check it out, but generally, most of the time, you're not carrying live ammunition unless you're going to the shooting range. So that's one thing I've always realized. Well, how come nobody could just stop him? All military personnel have guns. Yeah, we do, but 90% of the time, they're in their armory, or they're in they're locked down inside the armory, and you don't get ammo for it regularly. Only, again, MPs and gate security or security units have weapons on base, which I kind of see as a silly thing. I think people should be able to have their conceal and carries. It would be a lot easier for people to handle like this. So the guys who stopped him were quite literally unarmed. Just remember that. So the soldiers that stopped this guy, that stopped this Sergeant Cornelius Radford, were unarmed when they got him. So just remember that. So that's straight up like heroic. Let's see here. Anything else on this? Anything worth talking about? Let's see here. Suspected to be tried by a military court. What we know. Shooting. Yeah. It's all stuff that we already know. Most serious offense. Murder, assault, and kidnapping. Yep. Nothing really just that jumps out at me here. It's just like repeated the same stuff. Yeah, it was not military weapons, which we just talked about. It was his own personal handgun. We can watch a little bit of the interview by the general of the base real quick here. We'll watch just a little bit of this.
And that breaking news alert comes from Fort Stewart, Georgia. Let's listen in. 5 soldiers were shot earlier today. The shooter's been arrested. Let's listen in.
Footprint. In just a moment, I'm going to introduce you to Brigadier General John Lubis. That's spelled John, Lubis, Lubas. He's the commanding general of the 3rd Infantry Division. Brigadier General Lubis will make a statement regarding the incident and take a few brief questions. Before we begin, however, I'd like to go over just a couple things with you. We have limited time for questions, given that this is an ongoing investigation, and we may not have all the information that we can share, but we will try to be as transparent as possible. We will not release the name of any victims until the next of kin notification has been complete. We will not speculate as to any intentions, motives, or backstories, given that this is an ongoing investigation. When you ask your questions, we ask that you please give your name and the affiliation in case we need to do a follow-up. And it's a little hard to hear, so please speak up so that General Lubis can hear you and that you can hear him. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I will now turn it over to General Lubis.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us. This morning, shortly before 11 o'clock, an active duty soldier assigned to Fort Stewart, Georgia, shot and wounded 5 of his fellow soldiers here on Fort Stewart. Thankfully, all are in stable condition and all are expected to recover. The alleged shooter is in custody. We have reestablished security. I have lifted all lockdown measures on Fort Stewart, and there is currently no threat to the local community. I'd like to recognize and thank our Army law enforcement and medical personnel and our partners from local, state, and federal law enforcement and emergency services for their quick response and support. I would also like to thank the brave soldiers who immediately intervened and subdued the shooter. These soldiers, without a doubt, prevented further casualties. Our wounded soldiers were initially evacuated to Wynn Army Community Hospital right here on Fort Stewart. All arrived in stable condition, and 3 of the 5 required surgical intervention. 2 have been transported to Memorial Hospital in Savannah, Georgia for additional care. We have identified the alleged shooter as Sergeant Cornelius Radford, an automated logistics sergeant assigned to 2nd Brigade Combat Team. Sergeant Radford has not previously deployed to combat. Sergeant Radford has been interviewed by the Army Criminal Investigation Division and is currently in pretrial confinement, awaiting a charging decision by the Office of the Special Trial Counsel. Right now, our primary focus is first on caring for our injured soldiers and their families, and also supporting the soldiers of the Spartan Brigade. All of the families of the victims have been notified, and we're wrapping our arms around them and ensuring we provide them all the support that we can. Before I take questions, I want to remind you that this is an ongoing investigation and we're still gathering questions. And ladies and gentlemen, I'll now take your questions.
All right, that's good enough for that, because they're not going to ask any super mind-blowing questions, I bet. But yeah, that's what's going on there. So we'll see. More information is probably being released as we speak. So we'll see if there's anything else that happens. I'll probably run an update on it tomorrow if we find out anything else, maybe the reason why. But we'll get to this other story here, which this one just made me extremely upset because it's kind of related to soldiers and veterans being shot. Judge, so this is from the Houston Chronicle, judge lowers bail for mid-tier TikToker accused of shooting a Marine veteran in Galleria garage. A mid-tier TikToker must post $300,000 bail to secure his freedom after an alleged role in the shooting death of U.S. Marine veteran at Galleria Mall parking garage, a judge ruled Tuesday. Justin Guzman, 22 years old, mouthed "I love you" to his parents after Judge Hillary Unger said she would lower his bail into the amount originally asked for by prosecutors, but not any lower as his attorney hoped for. The lawyer, Rami Kaplan, cited Guzman's surrender to authorities, cooperation with Houston police detectives, and self-defense claim in asking for an affordable bail in the amount of $50,000. The Kingsville resident is charged in the June 3rd killing of Anthony Sanders, who was fatally shot in front of his fiancée and their child in the 5,000 block of Alabama Street. Sanders confronted Guzman and 2 other men in the parking garage after the members of the trio allegedly harassed his fiancée in the mall elevator as she got off work, authorities said. Guzman maintains that he shot Sanders from the front passenger seat of his black 300 Chrysler in self-defense, believing the man near the vehicle had a weapon. A police officer who rushed to the shooting never found a weapon on Sanders or near him, authorities say. The hearing includes testimony from a bail agent who outlined Guzman's limited finances, on the witness stand. Unger, who previously dropped Guzman's bail from $750,000 to $450,000, questioned how much Guzman raked in, if anything at all, for his social media enterprise, assuming his frequent posting as a mid-tier TikToker could have earned him a sizable amount based on their own intel from younger family members. The bail agent, Shannon Pena, testified Guzman's lacked assets or income, citing a financial affidavit used to determine the ability to afford bail and eligibility for court-appointed lawyer. Kaplan, who said that he would have posted bond by now if he had the money, is hired as the defense attorney. Just because somebody can make the bond doesn't mean that the bond is excessive, Unger said. The judge also asked if Pena was aware of Guzman's prominence as a TikToker or his reach. She wasn't, except for what she had read in the news reports. Pena spoke with Guzman's father, but not the defendant, about their finances. She based her testimony on his financial affidavit, where Guzman stated that he was unemployed and that his last job was social media. The Unger said to little was about his financial to guide her decision, and cited the lack of credit reports, banking information, or evidence of revenue from his TikTok videos. I don't know anything about him, Unger said. She also expressed a befuddlement as to why Guzman had traveled more than 220 miles to visit the Galleria in Houston. I asked why he was at the Galleria, but I was simply told that he was going to the Galleria, Unger said, opening that nothing was said about whether his trip was going shopping or ice skating. Those answers were outlined in a recent search warrant affidavit. The driver, who was not charged, told authorities the trio went to the gallery to blog. The driver referred to Guzman as a co-defendant, Mark Sinan, as a content creators who share comedy videos to social media, according to court records. Guzman separately told authorities that they went to the gallery to eat and shop, and that they may have recorded videos while eating. The affidavit went to describe the videos Guzman and the others had recorded on earlier occasions. Unger also picked apart potential holes in Guzman's self-defense claim as she continued her reasoning to lower his bail amount. The vehicle ferrying Guzman to a front passenger was ahead of Sanders and had room to escape the deadly shooting. Yeah. Strange. Very strange. I'm a pro Second Amendment guy, but something tells me that these guys were probably making, like, prank content. And they were probably trying to do, like, shock content type stuff. Like, unfortunately, the influencer generation is here. Unfortunately, Jake Paul, his brother, and the rest of these influencer generation like them, I think, have caused this. Where, like, you have to get in people's faces. I mean, you remember them running around neighborhoods, like, disturbing the peace, doing stuff like that. Like, kids have to do these wild, crazy videos to one-up everybody to try to get their content. And I have no doubt that that's probably what was going on here. They were probably trying to, like, prank or, like, do something to this guy's fiance. And he called him out on it. I mean, do you remember that those two guys that were that guy that was an Uber Eats pickup guy? He was literally there to pick up food, and then those two influencers came up to him and were trying to punk him and take his food. Like, this is my food. Give me the food. And they're like, I don't know you. And then he pulled his gun out and shot him. The guy that was picking up the food shot him. It's like, I'm surprised that this doesn't happen more often. Like, especially when, like, we see all those, like, those creepy clown videos where the guys all dress up as the clown and they scare the people. Like, I'm surprised. I don't know where those videos are done, but I'm surprised that nobody has ever tried shooting those people before. Because if some dude comes at me with, like, wearing a clown outfit and carrying an axe, and I've got my concealed carry on me, you can damn well bet I'm pulling out my pistol. I mean, I'm surprised that this stuff doesn't happen. That's why I think a lot of that stuff is either fake or they're in, like, countries that don't allow firearms, or at least states or cities that don't allow firearms. So that's what I find completely crazy about all this. The police stopped the trio outside the parking garage as they left, she added. A prosecutor Ellen Gilbert asked Unger to consider the bail amount as they initially asked for when Guzman was first charged in this murder case. If she believed that $750,000 to be excessive, a magistrate set a higher at the time. Sanders' father, Frank Sanders, appeared unbothered by the decision as he left the courtroom after the hearing. Appeared unbothered. I have nothing negative to say. The defense has the right to do that, said Elder Sanders. The evidence will show that it wasn't self-defense as they dig deeper. Well, he's a good man. But yeah, just like he killed somebody. Regardless of whether or not he thought the guy was armed or not, he killed somebody. The second man charged with murder in Sanders' death, Sinan, has been held on $1 million bail since last month. He hired a lawyer Monday to represent him. Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. But yeah, I think that this is literally the cause of the influencer generation. It's like, we have to do these crazy videos to try and, get content. Doesn't matter what we do, doesn't matter who we offend or whatever. It's like they have to do these prank videos where somebody has to be the butt of the joke, and it's never the person doing the prank. I mean, all this influencer generation is literally twisted kids' minds, and like kids think that it's okay to do stuff like this. What they don't realize is you're going to meet somebody that is going to whoop your butt when you do this, and that's what was going to happen right here probably. And then what does this kid do? He shoots the guy. You're the one that started this whole thing, and then you have the gall to, instead of taking your beating for doing whatever like shot content you're trying to make, you shoot the guy that gets pissed at you for doing whatever it is you're doing. At least if you're going to be like this influencer type person that does all these like prank videos or whatever, at least take your beating. I mean, you can go on YouTube and find all these little influencers and like social media pranksters that do this stuff, and you can find compilation upon compilation of them getting their asses handed to them because this person that they're pranking doesn't appreciate it. I mean, it happens regularly. I mean, you can literally enjoy just hours of compilations of TikTokers, YouTubers, whoever, pranksters getting beat up because somebody didn't like their joke or like they did not find what they did funny. And a lot of the stuff that they do isn't funny. It's just cruel. So this is why, like, parents, you need to be involved in your kid's life. Like, if you think your kids are doing stuff like this, stop them. They're going to get hurt. They're going to get killed. And in this case, now, like the TikTokers, this is like the TikTokers strike back. Like, they're the ones killing the people they're trying to prank now. This is insane. Absolutely insane. But I think that's pretty much all I've got for now. We'll just go to some memes real quick, talk about that. But that's absolutely crazy. It drives me crazy that this is what we are. The influencer generation is going to like drive crazy. Here's the other one too. Doge staffer Big Balls saves woman from carjacking in D.C. Yeah, gets completely, if you can see there, he is all bloodied up right there. But he's a hero. Okay, let's see here if I can read this. It's really small. Okay, a few days ago, a gang of about a dozen young men tried to assault a woman in her car at night in D.C. A Doge team member saw what was happening, ran to her defense, and was severely beaten and to the point of concussion, but he saved her. And Donald Trump posted this: crime in D.C. is totally out of control. Local youths and gang members, some only 14 and 15 and 16 years old, are randomly attacking and mugging, maiming, and shooting innocent citizens at the same time knowing that they will be and almost immediately released. Yeah, because D.C. has some of the highest crime and is the most liberal city. Said D.C.'s vote was 98% Democrat, 2% Republican. that is our nation's capital. That is insane. It goes to show you those are the people pushing these agendas, are all liberal, all left-wing. Washington, D.C. is a corrupt swamp of vipers. It's insane. They are not afraid of law enforcement because they know that nothing ever happens to them. This is going to happen now. The law in D.C. must be changed to prosecute these rioters or these minors as adults and lock them up for a long time, starting with the age at 14. The most recent victim was beaten up by these local thugs in Washington, D.C. Must be safe and clean and beautiful for all Americans. Importantly, for the world to see. If D.C., and just for the record, I can barely see this, how small this is, doesn't get its act together and quickly, we will have no choice but to take federal control of the city. And this city is now should be run and put criminals on notice, and they are going to get away with this anymore. Perhaps it should have been done a long time ago. Then this incredible young man and so many others would not have been going through these horrors of violent crimes. If this continues, I am going to exert my power and federalize this city. Make America great again. Yeah, and he should. I mean, remember, the only reason the National Guard was not deployed on January 6th was because Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and the mayor of D.C., who is also a Democrat, refused. They said, nope, don't need them. Don't need them. It was them. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and the mayor are the only three people that can activate the National Guard at that level. I don't know why that is, but it's because they're not their own state, and the National Guard is held responsible by the governor. The governor is in charge of the National Guard. So I guess since there's no governor of the D.C., they have to get the approval of the mayor and the Senate majority and Congress majority leaders at that time. So that's absolutely crazy. So remember that. All right. Yeah, SKS cartoons. Big Boss. He's the Batman of Washington, D.C. Oh, I love that. I love that. That is really good. That is really good. Okay. This is from Brett Lee. This is ridiculous. Congressional district that Texas Republicans are trying to get redrawn. The only gerrymandering happening is undoing what the Democrats have already done. Look at that. That goes from, I don't even know where that is, but look how that district is drawn. This is how Democrats are staying in power in places. They redraw these districts so jankily. Look at that. What district even is this? Let's look at this one. This one's even crazier. From San Antonio all the way to Austin, they just do this little whoop. So let's check this out. Does this look like a normal district to you? The Democrats want you to think so.
Check out this district in Texas. Democrats want you to think this is a normal district. It's not. It spans like two different parts of two different cities. There was supposed to be a vote today about redistricting in Texas to make it seem more normal. So it's all in one center instead of like a long line crossing, 2, 3, 4 different cities. Guess what? Democrats didn't even show up to work to vote on it. They fled to Illinois. In case you don't know, this is what Illinois' districts look like.
Look at that. That's Illinois' district right there. I wonder why that is so like that. How strange. How strange how they draw these districts. So when the Democrats district a place, it's okay. It's nothing to see here. But when Republicans want to district something, this is a threat to our democracy. How dare they do this to us? It's like Democrats, when they make the rules and then Republicans are playing by the rules, it's not fair. That is what's going on here. But let's finish this out.
Doesn't even look like it doesn't look normal. So they didn't show up to the vote, and Greg Abbott is now calling for their arrest. which is awesome. I love it. He's also calling for bribery charges to be called on some of these people because they took like this $40 million jet to Illinois to skip the vote. Someone's funding it. Someone paid them off to do this.
Yeah, that's one thing I forgot to mention is, a private jet picked all of them up. Private jet, which means that, yes, somebody was funding this. They're like, get out of there. Get out of that state. We can't lose our districts there. This is why I keep telling everybody. Texas is purple now because of how the Democrats are gerrymandering stuff. It's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Now, here's the thing. Democrats are going to say that it's going to benefit Republicans if we do this. And the answer is, yeah, it will, because the districts will be like, parts of Austin, and then another district, parts of San Marcos, another district, parts of San Antonio, right? It's just going to make sense. It's going to be more localized in that area instead of like a long freaking line. This is also how Democrats lie with statistics. They always say, oh, look at, these blue cities, and they make up. It's like, no, your districts they don't even make sense. And you want to know what? All these weird looking districts are all made up of Democrats. There's a redistricting effort throughout the whole U.S. in a lot of red states, and it could give Republicans 20 to 25 House seats for a long time, which is good because Congress controls the purse. And so this redistricting effort and the census that potentially could take place before the midterms could really change the whole country. This story needs to be focused on and needs to be watched very closely. And you need to make sure that all the fluff that the Democrats are putting out is debunked as soon as possible. Check out this.
Yes, 100%. Democrats are acting like this has never happened before, that this is a one-time thing. But that's the thing. Democrats go on voter ignorance. People who are educated, who educate themselves to understand how this stuff works, that's why Democrats pander to ignorant voters. Always have. Always will. It's because the moment that you educate yourself and you find out stuff like this, look at that district. San Antonio, all the way up to parts of Austin. Good Lord. Do you know how far away that is? That is quite the district. And the fact that all around it is probably smaller or it's bigger. And it's like, why is this district like this? It's because they're trying to get more Democrat votes. That's all it is. That's all it is. So they drew up that district for themselves so that way they could have that area. Like, we can guarantee that these are Democrat voters here. So stupid. So stupid. And we'll end it off with this one. Said one of our viewers sent us this, and I absolutely love it. Thank you, Pam. So check this out. These Sasquatch AI ones are getting out of control, but they are so funny.
What's the difference between Elvis Presley and a smart liberal? Elvis actually existed.
That's really good. Elvis Presley actually existed. But that is pretty much all I've got for today. This was Chad with Owasso Live. This was The Morning Loop. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you too can stay in the loop. But that is really all I've got for today. I will catch you all on the next one on Friday. So I will see you on the next one. See you later, everybody.
I mean, he did make a fortune from China, and Joe Biden was wrong. $4 million in income in 2017 and $2.2 million in income in 2018, most of which came from Chinese or Ukrainian interests. But this directly goes against what Joe Biden said in the debate in 2020 with Donald Trump. Take a listen.
My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about, China.
Once you
None of
became
that
vice
is
president,
true.
he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
That is simply
and various
not
other places.
true.
So it's from two different debates, but I mean, Trump was right. I mean, he did make a fortune from China, and Joe Biden was wrong. Trump was right. I mean,